Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Daily Thread. Sorry we missed you yesterday, but we had a wedding. So
So we were putter. We had a wedding.
we were putter. We couldn't deliver, but we had a wedding, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But thank you for listening to the Daily Thread. Okay, first of all, I do want to mention, by the way, many people have been coming over to me and saying, hey, where did you get that shirt from? You see this collar? You see this shirt? It is the most comfortable shirt in the world. And I got it at Collars & Co. Happens to be, I got a call yesterday from somebody, a kid, I guess who got my number. And he wanted to ask if his friend can get a shout out on Meaningful People. So I said, okay, I'll try, sure. And he said, by the way, Collars & Co. I said, yeah, that's it. collarsandco.com. Make sure to use promo code Meaningful for 15% off. It is the most comfortable shirt in the world, and you'll look great. So go ahead and check that out. And of course, if you'd like to advertise on this program, just reach out to us at thedailythread@meaningfulminute.org or message us on WhatsApp, and we'll get you right here, part of the Daily Thread family, open and available to thousands and thousands of users. Well, we had a wedding last night in Lakewood. Sterling Stern got married. A big mazel tov to him and the extended Stern family. And it was some trip. What about you? It took me a couple hours.
You don't just say who he got married to. He didn't get married to himself, you know?
That's true. He got married to Mindy Khan.
It was like a bar mitzvah. Yesterday was Sterling Stern's bar mitzvah. No, he got married. No? Yeah, I know, but if it's just one person, it's usually a bar mitzvah. But let me just tell you something. Last night, I got on the way home, I also got a text message from somebody asking me about your shirt, by the way. Not to
Really?
Yeah. Was Nachi wearing that shirt without the buttons? I said, I don't know. I didn't look to see if there was buttons or not, but I think he was wearing that shirt. So
there's a perfect amount of buttons. Let's just say that. And they also have shirts now, a quadruplex shirt that you can get all the buttons. So
does the collar detach from the shirt, or it's attached to the shirt?
Of course. Look, I'm wearing it right now. It's attached to the shirt. It's a regular shirt.
Okay,
it just happens to be extremely comfortable.
Originally, I thought that you could wear you could wear a T-shirt and then put a collar on. I thought the collar comes separately, but now
no, this isn't a circus, Abba.
What? Oh, it's not. I thought that when I heard the company, the first name, I heard you start talking about it a couple of weeks ago, Collars and Company, Collars and Co. I thought it's just collars. It would make sense if it was just collars. You know, like this, you don't have to wear anything. You can go swimming with a collar on your around your neck and wear a tie into the pool.
I guess the co represents everything else. But anyways, I went after this wedding last night. I went to Mike's Chicken. Okay, Mike's Chicken is hyped up to be the best chicken in the world, best kosher chicken. And I got to tell you,
where is it? Where's Mike's Chicken?
It's in Lakewood. It was 5 minutes from the wedding hall. So I left before the chuppah and I got into my car to get ready for that ride home. And I went there to get some food. First of all, it's packed. Second of all, they have a really, really cute store. It's a cute place. It's like old school. It's almost like it looks like the inside of a retro McDonald's. Not that I've ever been in one, but like what a retro McDonald's would look like. And it was very good. It was very, very good.
You could have stayed at the wedding and eaten there. You didn't have to leave early and go to Mike's Chicken, I don't think.
But when life gives you an opportunity, you have to take that opportunity. And I'm never in Lakewood. So I had to take that opportunity to go to Mike's Chicken.
So who'd you see there? What time were you there, and who was there? Was it crowded? Was it empty?
It was very crowded. I think I had the only smartphone in the store. A lot of flip phones.
Was it men and women, or just men, or just women? Who was there?
The men to woman ratio is probably 15 men to 1 woman. Okay. That was probably the breakdown.
And they have tables and chairs, so you could sit down.
No, you do not. Nobody eats there. It's just takeout. There could be more than one. I don't know for sure, but this one was 5 minutes away from the wedding hall. It was near like Arc Mortgage. I don't know, but it was very good.
I know I discovered many years ago in B'nai Brak, they have pizza stores without tables and chairs because they don't want people sitting there. They don't want people to be able to fraternize and mingle with one another. So
fraternize.
If you want pizza, you could eat it at home or you could eat it in your car. You can't stay in the store and eat it. It's not good. And I think Lakewood runs the same way. Not
I don't think so. I think there's many there's many restaurants that have chairs and tables in Lakewood.
Well,
No?
I'm talking about Mike's Chicken specifically. That's why I'm not familiar with it. I asked you if they have tables and chairs because I suspected that there's not just that there's no room for tables and chairs. There's a motivation of not having tables and chairs.
I wonder if that's the motivation. I really do.
Well, is it a big store? Is it a little store? You said it's like a McDonald's, right?
It's not especially large, but because they have no tables and chairs, they get very creative with their design and what takes up the space, you know? So it was very cool.
What takes up the space?
Well, they have like these ordering kiosks that you can order on, like these tablets.
Electronically.
And yeah, and they have like a big wall that says Mike's Chicken with like lights on it, and they have
So what'd you order?
and they have like I got a sandwich.
Well, I'm guessing a chicken sandwich, right?
Yeah, there was chicken. Yeah, there was chicken in it, and it was very good. Is it better than Holy Schnitzel? I don't know. Like it's probably similar, but because it's in Lakewood, it gets very very like hyped up. But I think it's good. I think it's good. It's good food. Anyways, that's not what this episode is going to be all about.
No, but that's an important issue anyway.
Food is an important issue.
So we showed Nissan today, and we established a few days ago that one of the most important things about Pesach, besides celebrating Yetzias Mitzrayim and the Seder and the Matzah and Marah and so on and so forth, is the food that you're going to be eating. And let me just say, I know that you met Bachakan last night. I met Bachakan last night. Speaking of food, right? So she made it to the wedding. It's part of her family. The caller is, I think, her niece, maybe. I'm guessing. I think it's her niece, actually. And, she's a very busy lady this time of year. She's shipping food.
Yeah.
She's shipping food to, I think she told me, to 44 states in the United States.
Listen, I think anyone in the service industry is going to be like crazy busy this time of year. That's just what happens. It gets a little out of hand, like the Pesach chaos and frenzy. And I wonder that if it was like this 60 years ago, I wonder like if maybe it's a self-made issue, like the frenzy before Pesach.
No, it's as far back as I can remember. It's always been like that. Going out to eat, especially a couple of nights before Pesach, it's like usher to eat in your house. You're not allowed to eat in your house.
I don't know.
Even if you're eating all Pesach food, you don't eat at home. You got to go out to eat.
I don't ascribe to that. I don't ascribe to that. I don't ascribe to that.
You eat in your house up until the last minute, up until B'dikas Chametz, or up until you burn the Chametz on Erev Yantif. When do you eat your sandwiches, your chicken sandwiches in the house until?
Well, I first want to say that maybe it's not fair because I made Pesach once, right? During COVID, I made Pesach in my apartment.
Well, we should say you're married only, 4 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a pretty good record.
Yeah, but like that year that I made Pesach in my apartment, like, I don't know. I think everyone during COVID year, there was no frenzy. There was no frenzy. There was none of that chaos because it was Yantif and it was COVID, so you couldn't do that. So everyone had to clean their car themselves, and everyone had to give themselves their haircuts, and it was kind of nice. It was kind of nice and simple.
You're telling me the barbershops were closed also during COVID, I guess, right?
I did not go to a barbershop. No, I did not go to a barbershop.
You just reminded me, you cut your own hair?
I think my wife gave me a haircut.
Oh yeah, you know what I did before that Pesach? Now that you mention it, I remember our barber who had been using for many years, Mel. You know Mel, right?
I know Mel.
Mel came to our house and cut my hair in the house.
Did he come in a hazmat suit?
Without a mask. He cut my hair without a mask. You know, we both had COVID already. You know, we already had natural immunity, even though you weren't allowed to believe in natural immunity until Pfizer made their $25 billion. But let's not get into that.
Yeah. Anyways, so the point that I'm making is that it was kind of nice when there was none of that frenzy and that wild. But then again, there's so many people that make a parnasa off of that frenzy existing. So I don't want to ruin their businesses. You know, like so many people are making a parnasa off of people flocking for haircuts and having to get car washes and having to go out to eat 4 days before Pesach.
Right.
But maybe it's my neshama that existed, or my body that existed before I existed in this world, that kind of thinks that in yesteryear, Pesach was, it came and we didn't eat chametz and we cleaned and we didn't make this crazy chaos and frenzy around Pesach. We didn't get crazy. I saw an amazing sign, quote. I think it was kind of a joke, but it's also not a joke, that says your dust isn't chametz and your kids aren't a carbon Pesach. Basically, don't make your kids a carbon Pesach. When you're cleaning for Pesach, there's no mitzvah to yell at your kids and to ruin their process in getting ready for Pesach.
Okay, so that reminds me of a couple of things, but I won't interject. You can keep going.
I have nothing else. Do you agree with me or disagree that Pesach
so let me
can
tell
exist?
you. Let me tell you what it was like. I remember in Crown Heights on Eastern Parkway, and I think around Utica Avenue, there was a famous restaurant. It was called Famous, and the place was jammed. The night before Pesach. So, things haven't changed that much. The restaurants here are gearing up like they're ready to, like they're ready to go to war. It's like a war zone. Preparing to serve chametz meals, because people have to eat chametz up until the last possible second of the day. You'll see.
That's also something that is just such. My opinion is it's such narishkeit that you drive by a Dunkin' Donuts in Erev Pesach and there are lines.
They're stuffing
out
their faces.
The door.
They got to get.
Besides that, like you need to eat you must eat a bagel now. Like you must eat a bagel. I don't understand. I don't get it.
It's the last vestiges of chametz for 9 days. 9 days. 9 days to go.
It's 9 days. So what? Like
hello, there's no shortage of foods anymore on Pesach. By the way, there's Pesach pizza now. There's Pesach bagels. There's Pesach bread.
Unless you're Lubavitch and you mamish can't eat anything.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know, but I think everybody eats fairly well these days.
Really?
So.
Tell me, what is their specific halachas when it comes to Pesach food? They don't eat anything that has a peel on it, anything that's right?
Listen, I don't want to get into that. I've heard about that. I don't think that we had that in my parents' house growing up.
Oh, no?
Maybe it's because my mother wasn't from a Chabad family. She married into it, but I don't want to get into a personal psychoanalysis of how things were 50 and 60 years ago. But just so you should know that the restaurants were jammed, and there was a frenzy for chametz up until the last minute, and there was what do you call it? A stampede. That's the word I was looking for. There was a stampede for pizza after Pesach. Okay, and there's a couple of other things that you reminded me of that I wanted to say. One is that I spoke to someone yesterday who is going to Morocco for Pesach. There's 4 hotels that are having Pesach in Morocco, in Rabat, in Casablanca, in Fez. Morocco is only it's a 6.5 hour flight from New York. That's fairly close.
Really?
Nachi and I.
What do you want to say?
Nachi and I know 2 different people going to Greece for Pesach.
Greece?
To do 2 different programs.
Yeah.
In Greece.
Yeah.
I think that the peace in the world peace is going to come through a Pesach hotel being in some crazy location. That's how it's going to happen.
I mean, like a Pesach hotel in Ukraine should be should be that expensive. If you can get a hotel.
Or like Pesach in Gaza, and there's going to be like.
Let me just say about one of the big obstacles to going away this year for Pesach is that Yom Tov ends on Thursday night. And people are going to be stuck over the weekend, especially if you're going to Orlando, and we already changed the clock a couple of weeks ago. And it's going to take, unless you want to come and take your chances with flight delays on Friday, people are not.
Are you reading a book while we're recording?
No, I'm looking for an ad in the paper that I wanted to talk about.
Why?
Next. Of course,
Why?
I reminded myself of something while I was talking to myself. While I was talking to myself, I was thinking of something else. I'm trying to stay one step ahead.
You're doing a lot of page turning over there.
I'm looking for the ad. It's on the next page, I think.
I think it's an elderly person thing to do is to lick their finger when they're turning pages.
No, first of all, if you never read anything, you never turn pages, then you're not familiar with how easy it is.
Are you saying I don't read?
No, I'm saying for young people like you who don't read. I'm not you. Not you specifically. I'm not talking about you. It happens to be easy, especially with this kind of paper, to turn the pages when you have a little bit of moisture at the end of your finger. Now,
did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah, I did. But what was I talking about before I? Since you're talking about elderly habits, what was I talking about before I started turning the pages?
I think whatever it was you were talking about was a setup.
No, I was saying it was an obstacle. Not being able to be home for Shabbos after Yontif. It was an obstacle for a lot of people. Someone told me that the rentals in Orlando are down 25% this year because people don't want to be stuck eating shmur matzah over Shabbos. They're going to be eating shmur matzah and they're going to be eating only Pesach food. Where are they going to go to get food on Friday? Someone said to me they're going to go to Winn-Dixie in Orlando and they'll be able to get regular food for Shabbos. I don't know. There's all kinds of questions about that. And it has to be looked into before you go shopping. But one program in Morocco after Yom Tov Thursday night, right? They have a 7 a.m. flight leaving Morocco on Friday morning, and because of the time difference, they're going to land in New York at 10 a.m.
Well, they're trying to get everybody out of there.
So what I wanted to show you was an ad in the paper this week in the Five-Town Jewish Times. This ad, can you see it? Can you see this ad? They're selling a matzah bakery oven that you could buy and install in your house and bake your own matzahs. See the guy baking matzahs? Isn't that cool?
I don't know if is that such a safe idea?
I don't know. It depends how it's constructed. So it's a very cool ad. It says the hottest breakthrough: bake matzahs anywhere. Bake matzahs. All new personal oven designed to provide you with convenient and mehuda baking experience at home, in shul, or abroad. I wonder if you could pack this up and put it in your suitcase and get a matzah oven on board a plane.
I can see shuls. I can see shuls getting it and like baking matzahs as a kahila. I can't imagine a house getting it. Someone who owns a house.
Yeah,
getting it.
but you know the whole exciting thing about watching, and when we were in yeshiva when we were kids, we all went to matzah bakeries, right? And I think we were all really overwhelmed by the heat generated by these matzah ovens. I think someone once told me that it goes up to 2,000 degrees, and the dough turns into matzah in seconds, literally seconds. But here in this ad, it says, "Meet the electric matzah oven." So it's electric. What is it? A toaster? There's no fire involved. I have to. Have to investigate. Have to investigate a little further. Anyway.
Hey, listen, if they pay us enough, maybe we'll go ahead and bake matzahs in it on a daily thread. How about that?
Okay, listen. If they're listening, they're forewarned. Send us a matzah. Send us one of these ovens, and we don't have to keep it. We could just try. We could try to bake matzahs here on the program. I guess you got to get dough. You got to roll it. It's not so push-it, you know. I mean, it looks pretty cool, but it's an interesting concept to, you know, instead of, you know, people are ordering certain types of shmura matzah and being told by certain bakeries, like in Borough Park and Williamsburg, where they have a lot of matzah bakeries, they're being told they're sold out. You can't have it, you know, like no soup for you, no matzah for you. So if you have your own, the way to counteract that apparently is to have your own matzah baking oven at home.
But again, like that's part of the craze that I'm talking about that didn't exist during COVID, and it was very nice. It was like it caused a lot of pressure and unnecessary stress for many people. This like there's not going to be any more of this, not going to be any more of that. Like
I think during there's a lot of different stresses during COVID. You know, people were seriously becoming very ill.
Obviously that for sure. Anyone who is sick or had someone who is very sick and lost anyone, it wasn't a good experience. But all I'm saying
you
is
you had COVID. You had COVID on Pesach, didn't you?
Yeah.
3 years ago.
The first Pesach, yeah.
First Pesach?
April 2020.
So you couldn't even have a
Shayna
Seder.
had a Seder by herself.
What?
Shayna had the Seder by herself.
You had to.
I came out
be
for
in
a
bed.
second. I really didn't feel well, and I went back to bed, yeah.
Yeah. No, there's a. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I had a really nice Seder during COVID. You know.
Good. Listen, you were forced to do it on your own. You know, one of the reasons that there aren't as many hotels as there used to be, and there aren't the rentals aren't going through the roof in Orlando and other locations. Well, they're busy. Don't think they're not busy. They're busy, but not like they used to be. One of the people in the business say that one of the reasons is because that year, 3 years ago, people were forced to be home. They were never home before. They they see that it's possible to do, and it's not such a bad thing. So they're happy to be home again. Someone told me this week that a person he's in the music business, and he's been going to hotels since he's a newlywed. And, you know, then he had kids. He has 3 or 4 kids, and one time Pesach came out like this, would have ended on a Thursday night. And he came home with his 8-year-old and 10-year-old and 12-year-old. They came home to his in-laws' house here in New York for Shabbos because there was no time to, you know, what they call switch things over or turn things over, whatever, however they refer to it as. And they went into their grandparents' house, and his kids came over to him and said, "How come Bubby and Zadie have silver foil on the counters? What's the matter? What happened to the counters? Where'd the counters go?" They never saw anything like that because they've been in hotels since they were born. So if you never made Pesach at home, you don't know what it entails.
Yeah. Did you grow up having Pesach at home every year?
Absolutely, we never went anywhere. We never went anywhere on Pesach growing up. You know, it was a big undertaking, a big task covering the counters. They don't have such, you know, state of the art things to cover the counters with then like they do today. I'm trying to think. They did it. My mother did it with, I don't know. I think with that kind of like wrapping, like that brown paper, you know, that brown thick paper that you could tape down on a counter, and then they had these inserts that went into the sinks. So you should have a kosher for Pesach sink, and of course you had different dishes, and there was a lot involved.
I was in a barbershop the other day. It's called Euro Cuts, like Avi Eurowitz, and he told me that they plan to cut over 200 heads before Pesach. Like that's the plan, and that's another industry that before and after Pesach, it is like super busy. Yeah. Any news story? Any news stories that you got today that are of interest? I haven't seen much that's so interesting.
Oh no. Well, you know, I mean, Donald Trump, of course, is always interesting whether he's going to be indicted or not. And I'll tell you something interesting that's going on. Donald Trump, he says that I heard one of his attorneys say that he wants to be arrested. And even though they want him because of the Secret Service and the New York Police Department, if they do indict him, and he has to be arrested, sometimes when you have a high profile person, they do it very discreetly. But now they see that the left that is pursuing this prosecution for political reasons, obviously, is thought that it was the best thing for them to really humiliate Trump by indicting him and having him subject himself to a perp walk and to fingerprinted and take a mugshot. But they said no, it's not. They don't want to give him that kind of publicity. So they want, if they're going to indict him, when it's doubtful whether they're going to indict him, but if they do, they want to do it very discreetly, take him in through a back entrance, blah blah blah. Anyway, one of Trump's representatives said this morning that Trump is insisting on being handcuffed in public. He wants to be handcuffed in public.
He's being chutzpahdik.
No, he's a showman. He knows the media. He knows how it works. Anyway, let's talk about the leftists in Israel that are against judicial reform that we discussed on this program a few times, which you don't want me to discuss. You don't want to hear about because it's too confusing, I think. They're planning this evening around now to march through Bnei Brak.
Okay.
They want,
cool.
because
I mean, that's not.
they want,
That's not,
they want,
that's not cool.
They want to engage the Haredi community because they believe that the Haredim are with the right, with Netanyahu, with the coalition that wants to introduce reforms to the judicial process in Israel. So the left is out of control. They're out of control in this country, and they're now out of control in Israel. So there's a machlekes, there's a disagreement from the leadership, from the Rabbanim. Should people in Bnei Brak stay indoors and let the people from the left march through the streets of Bnei Brak, or should they come out and counter protest?
Yeah.
I
hear you. Well,
we'll find out. We'll find out what happens. I guess later tonight or tomorrow morning.
Yes, we will find out. Well, thank you everybody for listening to another episode of Daily Thread. We'll be back at you with another episode, of course,
Monday.
on Monday morning. So listen, the numbers are getting a little bit better.
Oh, they
We're
are?
now by I think 70% of you are still not subscribed to our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
So we made a 4% turnaround. But listen, if you're watching this video on YouTube or if you're listening to this on Apple and Spotify, just hit the subscribe button and rate the podcast. Give it 5 stars because when you do that, more people can find this podcast that you enjoy so much and they can listen to it.
Well, you should also mention, places like this Matzah oven. And similar businesses can advertise here on the Daily Thread, on Meaningful People, on Meaningful Minute, and the other platforms that you have by calling or writing whatever that email address is. What's that email address again?
The Daily Thread at meaningfulminute.org.
The Daily
Or
Thread.
you can, yeah.
Okay.
You want to read it back?
The Daily Thread at meaningfulminute.org. And yeah,
Oh,
I have to do some research between now and Monday. I wonder if there's a matzah oven that you could also have in your back seat of your car. So when you stop by a light, you could bake some matzahs.
You know what? That's a great idea. Probably a fire hazard. And
A whole car is a fire hazard. You plug the oven into your cigarette lighter. After all, you have a cigarette lighter in the car. I know in my car, I have 3 cigarette lighters. Nobody smokes, but I don't know why there's 3 cigarette lighters. Maybe they're there for the cell phones. But as long as there's 3 cigarette lighters in the car, you might as well plug in a matzah oven and bake while you're sitting in traffic.
It's your generation type of thing to call it a cigarette lighter.
What's it called? What do you call it?
It's for phones. It's for a phone charger.
No, it's there. It's there. It was created there to be able to light cigarettes in the car, and to this day, I don't know if there's still a thing there that ignites. It's just there. Yeah, mostly for a cell phone attachment, but that's what it was originally created for, to accommodate smokers, whether you like it or not.
Anyways, kids, don't smoke. Not good for you. We'll be back at you Monday with another episode of Daily Thread. Thank you so much for listening and watching.